Hello, hello. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about what does it mean that we're doing this experiment? A lot of times we talk about human design, we say this is an experiment. And I think that's like the most important thing to get. I really do think so because whenever you're introduced to a system, right, it's very easy to get super fixed and rigid around that system and think like, oh my God, everything is true. I have to follow it exactly this way. Oh, so I have an open center. What does that mean? If I have a defined center, what does that mean? Or this channel, or what does it mean to have this kind of an authority? And then I have to do it this way. We can get like we can get all like hyper and kind of rigid around a system. So I guess like one of the most important things I want you to get if you're someone who's begun to do this work with human design and take this information in is that it's really just an experiment. It's just kind of like Buddhism. It's not a doctrine. You go, you meditate, and you see if it works for you. Right? It's the same with human design. You try it out and you see if it works for you. And the deeper you go and the longer you spend time within this world, you're going to find that what being emotionally defined for one person is totally different. It means something completely different to someone else. We're all so different. And this whole system is evolving, just like we're all evolving. And so whatever your input is, whatever it is that you learn is going to be a really important contribution to the field itself as it continues to grow and expand and get more fine-tuned and deeper. So I guess that's the first thing I just want to get out there is that this is an experiment. So play with it. Bring kind of a childlike energy or spirit to the process, and try not to be hard on yourself or too rigid, or learn what you learn, and we'll all learn from that. Okay. So again, this is not official human design doctrine here. As you know, I have not, I don't know if you know this, but I decided not to go ahead and get certified, even though I did get the whole Jovian Archive education, because I felt like I needed to be able to hold this system lightly, as I tend to hold all systems. And I really believe that ultimately we're all artists and we're all growing and learning, and I don't know. So just so you know, I'm not speaking official human design lingo right now. If you want official, go to Jovian Archive, go to the International Human Design School. These are incredible people doing amazing things, and you can get the system in its absolute purity. And there are good things. There are really, really good things about practicing with utter purity, especially in the beginning when you're beginning to kind of integrate your type and your strategy and your authority and starting to learn how it is to live as yourself in this world. Marianne Winnegar, who wrote a wonderful book, I think it's called Revolution of One. She's a generator. She's been in this human design world for many years, and she's incredible, super intuitive, really, really amazing woman. And her way of experimenting and what she really offers and encourages people to do is to do it like very, very radically. So that means if you're a generator and you get an you just don't do it. It means, I think I remember her sharing something about like going to, flying to Europe to take a training course and bringing her body into the room, and she got a big and she got up and she left. So, there are incredible benefits to being so radically true to yourself, true to your design, especially because so many of us have been totally conditioned to be what we're not and not to trust ourselves. So simply, it almost doesn't matter. It's almost like someone could give you any design and say, follow this for a month, and it's going to be an incredibly empowering, profound practice for you, because you're going to have to say no to a lot of people who are expecting yeses from you, and you're going to have to say yes to things that are going to freak people out. And the fortitude and the strength and the inner groundedness that a person accumulates through having these kinds of experiences where they're being true to any kind of a doctrine and dealing with tolerating the discomfort that it brings up inside of them or inside of anyone else, this is always going to be a beneficial thing. Okay, in addition to the fact that here you're actually learning how to be uniquely you, which is a fabulous thing too. So I want to make sure, like I tend to think in paradoxes, right? So on the one hand, a radical experiment can be one of the most amazing things in the world. I mean, just like being on a cleanse, for example, and having to go to Thanksgiving dinner with your family can be an incredible practice. It's funny, like in a way I was thinking like a way of strengthening the ego, but in another way it's a way of helping the ego die off. Because all the things that we do to get fed and to be nourished and to have people see us and recognize us and approve of us are often those things that require a certain amount of self-sacrifice. So in order to be true to oneself, you actually have to kill the ego. And so this is all beautiful, wonderful, important. And I want to make sure that, especially, I don't know, take it or leave it. I'm just putting it out there, and then you can decide how this feels for you, right? This is your experiment too, and I'm telling you what I've learned from mine, which is that sometimes purity, rigidity, radicalness in relation to any system, including human design, can lead to some traps. Because in a way, like, for example, human design, the whole point of it is to help us get out of our heads. So we're not living our lives from this incredibly intellectual, logical, analytical place, but instead reaching in or reaching out in a different kind of way in order to find out what's really true for us. What's that compass that transcends the things that we've been taught, the moral codes we've been taught. Okay? So on the one hand, like, human design is here to help us get out of our heads. And then if you, like, I don't know about you, I don't know how far you've gone into the whole learning education system, but man, you can get lost in your head if you spend a lot of time in very formal human design circles, where people start to get more and more and more into the details of the differentiated body graph. So we're not just looking at gates, we're looking at the lines beneath the gates and the colors and the tones and the bases, and we're getting so specific, and we're getting so many different kind of totally custom tailored protocols for how to live your life that it can kind of become like this heady thing, which is not what we want. This is not what this is about. Okay? And not just that, but there can start to be all of these rules that, even though the rules are supposed to really help you align yourself with your own internal truth, they end up kind of substituting one conditioning world, which is maybe how your parents connected with you, or what you learned from your teachers, or what you take in through the media. We end up substituting that with a whole new conditioning force, which is now the human design world. And so we don't want that, right? Like, on the one hand, it's not so bad to get some conditioning that helps you really trust yourself. But you don't want to take that like too far, because then you're just substituting one pressure with another pressure. And the whole point of this is to relieve yourself of pressure and to start living a life that's just much more permission-giving and trusting and fluid and flowing and all those great things. Okay, so what am I saying? I guess I'm saying this is an experiment. Have fun with it, play with it, make it your own. In the beginning, it can be very, very helpful and revealing and confronting and evocative in the best kind of way to be radical about your experiment, and hold it lightly. Hold it lightly, because in the end, okay, this is another controversial thing that I'm saying here, but some people really believe that until you know your design and start to live from that place, you're not yourself at all. You're living just a completely not self life. And I actually don't believe that. I think a lot of people come to human design who already have had, incredibly deep lives and have done a lot of personal growth exploration. And sure, there's going to be plenty of that's not self stuff. Totally. I can speak for myself. That was true for me. But that doesn't mean you come as a totally blank slate and that everything that you've experienced up until this moment was not who you are, right? What do they say? They say you start with synthesis and then thesis and then, no. Thesis and then antithesis and then synthesis, right? So there's sort of the life before human design, the life after human design, and then we bring those things together. We don't want to throw any babies out with the bathwater, because you've got a beautiful baby in there, and we want to keep it around. Okay, hope some of that made sense. Okay, bye.